Welcome to another video by justlawsolicitors.com. My name is John Towell, Director of Legal, and this is Belen, Head of Property now, with so many lawyers we have. Hi, Belen.
Hello.
Now, one of the things that I encourage people to do before they buy a place in Spain is to rent. Now, all over the internet, there's lots and lots of rental scams, isn't there? There's people pretending to own a property, people putting a property that doesn't exist on the internet, and of course, people can come to us and we can help them with everything they need regarding renting a property. Contact at justlawsolicitors.com. Now, what would you say are some of the ways that people can avoid being scammed on when they come to rent a property in Spain?
So there's a very common scam of people sending you an email saying you can choose whatever method of payment you want. So you can divide the payment, split it in 2, in 3. You just have to transfer the first amount to this account.
Right.
This is a scam, clearly a scam. The landlord is not going to ask you to choose for the method of payment that you want.
Yeah.
Plus, always get a nota simple. I always say one thing: nota simple is a very important document for you to check who the owner of the property is.
Right.
So, in order to check that the owner is the landlord, get the nota simple
Right.
from the landlord. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because somebody who, for example, rented something on Airbnb is showing people around, taking deposits, they won't have the nota simple, will they?
Exactly. Or, for example, it might be the case that you have the ownership of a property, but, for example, after a hearing, someone has the use of that property. For example, a child that has the use of a property. Well, in that case, you might see the charge registered on the property in the nota simple.
Yeah.
So it is always better to check the details of the property, who the owner is, and the charges.
Yeah. And there's also, going back a step, there's also a much easier scam where people just invent a property and just put pictures on the internet and say, send me money.
Yes.
Yeah, don't do that.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Don't do that. So is that the main thing that people can do, or what about the agent? If there's an agent showing you the property?
Well, if there's an agent, you can ask the agent if the agent is registered, or you can see the website or the reviews of the agent. That's also useful in order to know, well, the professional profile of the agent.
Yeah, because in Spain, it's not a legal requirement in some areas for the agent to be registered, but in some areas it is. So best practice is to use a registered agent. Again, if you're in any doubt about a rental property, then get in touch with us. But what about the actual contract as well? I suppose we can't really say anything in a video about a document that someone's been given. We would have to study it, wouldn't we?
Yes, exactly. So depending on the property, sometimes the agent or the seller will send you a document saying, if you want to reserve it now, you have to sign this, you have to pay that. Well, just don't do it.
Don't do it. Yeah.
Because it also happens that we have our current rental law states that you have the possibility as tenant to stay on the property for 5 years. The older law, it was just 3 years. So some owners try to apply the 3 years period. So it is better if you get a lawyer to review the contract. Yeah.
What about this thing about, you always see on the internet, oh, I've been given an 11-month rental. Somebody thinks that 11 months is like something in the favor of the landlord.
So what the law says is that unless the 11 months are justified because of any reason, for example, if you are a teacher and you want to be 9 months, that is legal. But if it is going to be your main residency, and after the 11 months, you renew for another 11 months, that's absolutely illegal. It is against the law. You have the right of staying for 5 years.
Right.
The way of doing this is either claiming your landlord once. If you have signed the contract, there is not even a problem. You can claim your landlord because it is your right according to the rental law, or starting a judicial case. We have actually many clients that have instructed us for a judicial case in which we claim for the landlord the 5 years time that our clients have the right to. Yeah.
So just because you signed 11 months doesn't mean that you have to go.
No, you don't have to go.
Right.
We would have to study it, of course, but you don't have to go.
But as always, if you're renting, absolutely no legal requirement to use a registered agent, no legal requirement to take legal advice, but we advise you do both of those. And if you need Belen to act for you or one of Belen's lawyers, contact justlawsolicitors.com. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.